Chapter 17, First Warnings. Ethan Kamau stood on the balcony of his office at the Mars AI Robotics headquarters overlooking Shamata City. Holographic screens hovered around him, each displaying live data, weather systems, population movements, and the output of his AI predictive models. He held the blue notebook in his hands, its pages still crisp despite being centuries old. The patterns Wanja had written were unfolding in real time. He said quietly, "It's happening exactly as she wrote it." Karima stood beside him, her eyes scanning the holographic displays. Which one first? Ethan flipped to the earliest upcoming prediction. Flooding in the northern districts, July 23. 3002, that's 3 days from now. Wayland, leaning over the balcony railing, frowned. "People will think we're crazy. This is just a notebook." Ethan nodded. "They already do. But we have to warn them anyway. Wanja didn't write this to impress people. She wrote it to save lives." Chapter 18, The City's Reaction. Ethan and Wayland went to the northern districts, distributing warnings and showing citizens the notebook. Holograms projected excerpts, dates, and diagrams. Some villagers listened with concern. Some laughed. "You believe a book written by a little girl centuries ago?" One man shouted. "We have science. We have governments. This is nonsense." Others murmured among themselves, noting the unusual cloud formations and rising river levels. Approached a small crowd. "The notebook is not magic. It is the record of patterns Wanja saw, patterns in numbers, nature, and human behavior. You may call it prophecy. We call it guidance. Listen, or you risk what she foresaw." Ethan watched the water levels rise in the northern district as predicted. Citizens who ignored the warnings lost their goats, their crops, and in some cases, their homes. Those who listened, especially the earnest attendees of the royal hall, had moved their families and livestock to safety. Wayland whispered to his father, "It works. Every word she wrote is coming true." Ethan nodded grimly. "Yes. And this is only the beginning." Chapter 19, Patterns of Disasters. Over the next weeks, disasters occurred across Shamata City and surrounding regions. Fires broke out in dry villages, just as Wanja had written. Collapses of bridges and buildings happened on predicted dates. Technological failures, accidents, and even unusual storms mirrored the patterns in the notebook. Ethan, and Wayland moved constantly, warning people, coordinating evacuation plans, and using Mars AI robots to assist in rescue and protection. Despite the clear evidence, many people mocked or doubted them, calling them obsessed, foolish, or superstitious. "Why do you follow an old book?" a government official demanded. "Why risk public panic for a centuries-old prediction?" Ethan replied calmly, holding up the notebook. "This is no ordinary book. Wanja's gift was pattern recognition intelligence. God used it to warn humanity. The events you see, the fires, floods, failures, they are Wanja's guidance, centuries in advance. We ignore it at our peril." Some scoffed. Others whispered. But more and more, people began to pay attention. Chapter 20, The Royal Hall Connection. The Kamau family returned regularly to the Royal Hall, a place of refuge and reflection. Here, believers prayed, studied, and prepared for the coming tribulation. Ethan noticed a pattern among the faithful. Those who attended the Royal Hall, and even those outside who aligned with its teachings, were spared from the worst of the disasters. He shared this observation with Wayland. Wanja wrote these patterns not only to warn, but to guide the faithful. Those who live by God's principles, who act wisely, survive. Added, "It's a test of faith, courage, and discernment." Notice how every disaster has a window of warning. The notebook isn't just a prophecy, it's an instruction manual for life. Wayland frowned thoughtfully. So even in the 3000s, God is using her gift, her PRI, to save people. Ethan smiled grimly. Exactly. And the world is watching whether we listen. Chapter 21, Skepticism and Faith. as the disasters escalated, more people witnessed their accuracy. News reports broadcast fires, floods, and structural collapses, every incident matching the dates and descriptions in Wanja's notebook, yet skepticism remained. Scientists debated the plausibility of a girl from a millennium ago predicting events so precisely. Some accused Ethan of fabricating patterns to maintain control. Others denied any divine influence, attributing the predictions to statistical anomalies or luck. Ethan spoke publicly. Wanja's gift is autistic pattern recognition intelligence. She observed systems that are invisible to most people. God used her abilities to preserve knowledge for our time. The events we are witnessing are not coincidences. They are patterns that must be understood and respected. Despite mockery, a growing number of citizens, especially those connected to the royal halls, heeded the warnings. Families moved to safer zones, communities strengthened their defenses, and many prayed earnestly. Chapter 22, The AI and Human Response. Mars AI Robotics deployed emergency robots to assist civilians. Drones guided evacuations. Robots reinforced bridges, moved livestock, and delivered food and water to isolated areas, yet governments resisted. Officials dismissed Ethan's warnings as superstition. Political leaders refused to believe that a centuries-old notebook could hold such predictive power. Why follow a book when we have technology? One general scoffed. Ethan shook his head. Technology alone cannot see patterns God has allowed only a gifted mind to perceive. That's why we survive and others suffer. The contrast became clear. Those who ignored God's message and mocked the notebook were affected, while those who acted on faith and preparation survived. Chapter 23, Signs in the Sky. As the notebook's predictions unfolded, strange phenomena appeared in the sky. Clouds swirled unnaturally. Faint glimmers, like angels observing from above, were glimpsed at twilight. Wayland, scanning the skies with R7, whispered, "Look. There." Elle gasped softly. It's just like Wanja described in her dreams. The faithful are being protected. Ethan, holding the notebook, felt a chill of awe. We are witnessing something far beyond technology. This is God's plan, carried across centuries through Wanja's gift. The Kamau family returned to the royal hall that evening. Prayers were long, reflective, and hopeful. They knew more disasters were coming, yet they also knew that the faithful would be preserved. Chapter 24, Preparing for Armageddon. Ethan closed the notebook after a long night of study. The handwriting, diagrams, and predictions had become a map of the Great Tribulation, leading up to July 19, 3014, the date Wanja had marked as Armageddon. He spoke softly to Elle and Wayland. We have to continue preparing. Evacuate, protect, and educate people. The notebook is our guide. Mars AI and our network of robots will help, but the true protection comes from understanding patterns, acting wisely, and staying faithful. Wayland nodded. So Armageddon is coming. And we know exactly what to expect. Ethan looked at the night sky. Yes. But remember, God will protect his people. The royal halls, those who follow its teachings, and even some who live outside but align with its principles will survive. Everyone else must face the consequences of ignoring these patterns. Elle held Ethan's hand. Then we do our part, every day, until the time comes. The notebook lay open on the table, the blue pages glowing faintly in the soft light of their study. Each prediction was a warning, a guide, and a promise. For the first time, Wayland felt the weight of centuries pressing on his shoulders. But he also felt hope. Wanja's legacy was alive. And they would see it through.